All right, folks, I'm Tom Downey. That is Harris Rubenstein. Hit us up on Twitter at WhatGoingDowney and at SportsStein. Use the Super Chat as well to have your questions answered live on air.
Super Chat.
Or your comments. It's that little money icon right next to the chat bar, so keep them coming throughout the show. We really do appreciate it. On to some trade talks here, Harris.
Yes.
At least trade proposals that you have. Keeping in mind the report now that Butler and Cat are feuding, and Minnesota might have to choose.
And remember, with a lot of these trades that I'm bringing up, these are all prospective trades. This means that so many different things could happen, but as of right now, with the current value of certain players, I think these are the value that other teams are going to go for. Like, the Celtics aren't going to trade Jason Tatum for Jimmy Butler. Like, that's just not going to happen. So keep it, keep your expectations, settled.
All right, first one up here involves Jimmy Butler in Minnesota, Harris.
Yes.
Again, as we mentioned earlier in the program, Butler is reportedly upset with KarlAnthony Towns' attitude. He wants out of there. He's not pleased. He's not going to sign an extension. If that's the case and you're Minnesota and you know Jimmy's gone, you trade him to get something back in exchange.
You do, and I think if you're the Celtics, you want to target Jimmy Butler. That's the only team, I think, in the NBA that's going to legitimately try to target Jimmy Butler at this time, just based off all the exterior stuff about where he's going to sign an extension, 2019. Now, you'll see on my trade here that the only way the Celtics would actually make a deal for Jimmy Butler is if there is a pending extension in the works. That is the only way a trade is going to happen. I will say that for a second time so the people on YouTube hear me. The only way that the Celtics would make a move for Jimmy Butler is if there was an extension in play, because they're not just going to give up Jaylen Brown for a guy for 1 year. It's not going to happen. But the Timberwolves also can't ask for a lot for Jimmy Butler because he's on a 1-year deal. So I think Jaylen Brown plus one of the Celtics 2019 picks, I think they'll give up the Clippers one, plus another player in a Gershon Yabusele. That would allow enough space for the Celtics to actually make a move for Jimmy Butler. They can move a couple other pieces around, maybe throw in Marcus Smart in there as a sign and trade, but I think that the Celtics could make a package for Jimmy Butler that would allow them to be safe if he doesn't end up signing an extension there. But I think that Danny Ainge has made it very clear that outside of Kyrie Irving, he's not going to make a trade for anybody unless they sign an extension with the team going forward. Same thing with Kawhi. It was the same thing with Paul George. It was the same thing with Jimmy Butler a couple of years ago. And Kyrie Irving was the one guy they gave a little bit of an excuse to because he had 2 years left on his deal when they signed him originally. So the only way the Celtics make this move is for Jimmy Butler, or is if he's going to take an extension.
Which makes sense. And that's a really promising young group there.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, this is a great group.
Good hybrid of youth and age.
I'm not sure if the Celtics would be too crazy about giving up Jaylen Brown for Jimmy Butler, because let's be honest.
You got to give up value, though.
You do, but by the time Jaylen Brown is 24, 25, I mean, he might end up being as good as Jimmy Butler is now anyway.
I think that's the Brad Stevens bump talk.
He's still the coach.
All right. Next up, Karl-Anthony Towns. Let's say Minnesota really wants to keep Jimmy Butler. They're committed to that. There has been some buzz as well about Karl-Anthony potentially a trade as well, because there's clearly some issues within the locker room. I think there was a report that Thibs isn't the biggest fan of Cat right now. If Cat goes on the block, you got to think the value for him is rather high, because he's a hell of a player and a young center.
It is high, and if I'm the Los Angeles Lakers, I am doing everything that I possibly can to get Karl-Anthony Towns on my team. You match up Karl-Anthony Towns with LeBron James and get Kawhi Leonard next year, you make that trade in a second. I would be stunned if the Lakers were not one of the top teams going after Karl-Anthony Towns if his trade talks are actually there. I think this is a pretty fair trade too. Mo Wagner, you don't really have a lot of need for him if you have Towns. You have to move Kuzma. Josh Hart's fine, and then a 2019 first, which will end up being a late first-round pick. Now, all of a sudden, you have Karl-Anthony Towns. You can give him an extension, and then you sign Kawhi Leonard next offseason. I'm stunned that we haven't heard more about the Los Angeles Lakers trying to make a run at Karl-Anthony Towns. If there was ever a time to try to get him away from the Timberwolves, now is the time. I mean, it's a good deal for both sides. The Lakers won't be able to re-sign all of these guys down the road anyway, with Wagner and Ingram and Kuzma and Hart, all these guys. So why not just condense into one of the best young big men in the NBA at 22 years old? He's already younger than Kyle Kuzma.
I'm going to throw some more picks. I know it's an iffy fit alongside Wiggins, but I would not be surprised if Minnesota wanted to get Ingram as well.
I don't think you can ask for both Ingram and Kuzma for Karl-Anthony Towns if you're also getting Mo Wagner. That's why I threw him in there. Because look, we know.
How about you keep Wagner and then the Timberwolves get Ingram and Kuzma?
I don't think the Lakers, if the Lakers aren't going to trade Brandon Ingram for Kawhi Leonard, they're not going to trade him for Karl-Anthony Towns. And if you're the Timberwolves, I mean, remember, Tom Thibodeau is still very much in charge of that roster. We know how much he loves bigs. We know how much he loves bigs who can shoot. You give him 2 bigs who can shoot, along with a suitable backup guard and a future first. I think that would be enough to get Karl-Anthony Towns to the Lakers. Might be a little expensive for the Lakers, but he's still a 22-year-old all-star who just averaged 23 and 12 again at 22 years old.
All right, folks, again, hit us with that subscription button there. We've added 96 since the show started. Keep them flowing. We appreciate all you guys watching. If you like the show, we got a whole bunch of this stuff. We're trying to get to that 5,000 mark. We'll wait here. Don't worry. We can hang for a little bit.
50,000.
Why you guys? Oh, yeah, 50,000. My math is so bad today.
I got you, man.
Thank you. Anyway, we'll wait here a little bit. We're up to 97. Someone else just subscribed, so thank you for that, guys. Keep them flowing. We'll wait a little bit. Hit that subscribe button. You will not regret it, I promise you.
Absolutely. Look, if you are a sports fan and you're looking for legitimate just sports videos on YouTube that aren't some crazy person in front of a webcam, this is the place for you. We're professional, we're fun, and we put out great content. What more could you ask for?
Yeah, another 10 while we just started this. So, folks, thank you very much. Keep them going. We'll get to 50K very, very soon. Some more trade ideas that we have for you guys. This one has been rumbling a little bit more that the Cavs are indeed open to trading, Kevin Love. And this is important because right now the Cavs, not good enough to really be a true playoff team. Maybe aren't one of the 10 worst teams in the NBA with Kevin Love necessarily. But their next 2 first-round picks, or at least the first one is the next one as well, are only top 10 protected. So if you're the Cavs, Harris, you have to embrace the tank. Because if you're Cleveland, the worst-case scenario is you win enough games and finish as the number 11 lottery team when you lose your first-round pick. You can't let that happen.
You have to trade Kevin Love, though, if you're the Cleveland Cavaliers. You have to make a couple moves around and start rebuilding no matter what it is. I mean, you just have to find a way to get his number off of the cap, even if it does mean taking in a decent a pretty bad contract.
A bad contract.
So I have Kevin Love going to the Portland Trailblazers.
I like it, Harris.
Because
I like it a lot.
Kevin Love on the Portland Trailblazers is something that needed to happen, should have happened already, and I can't believe that it hasn't happened yet. So you have Kevin Love going to the Portland Trailblazers. They get a third piece to make a run at a title. You swap a deal with Evan Turner to make sure that the money works. And if you're the Cavs, you get a 2020 first-round pick, and you get a nice young building block in Zach Collins to start working it through down low between him and Colin Sexton. That's a good bench to build around between Sexton and Zach Collins. And again, if you're the Blazers, Damian Lillard, CJ McCollum, and Kevin Love, I think is enough to get you a top 5 seed in the West.
Oh, easily.
Definitely. And also makes you that much more lethal in the playoffs if you're able to bring back Yusuf Nurkic. One more thing I need to point out. Some people are asking, are these trades real? These are possible trades.
That's why it says
these
possible
trades have not happened. We put possible on there for a reason. No, the Trailblazers have not traded for Kevin Love. These are trade ideas that can help out both teams. And again, a Cavs trade for Kevin Love with the Portland Trailblazers. You get a first, you add Zach Collins in there, starts the rebuild for the Cavs, and allows them to get rid of Kevin Love's deal.
I mean, not only should the Cavs trade Kevin Love, I think you're right, Harris. They have to trade him. Now, I think they're having a tough time getting a first-round pick back because think about, okay, first off, what team needs a power forward? So that's going to eliminate, let's just say, half. What team has a contending roster without a power forward? Not very many. What teams can make the money work? So you're really limiting the pool here. That's why you saw Blake Griffin really not go for that much.
And that's why you have in our trade here that Evan Turner has to go back the other way to make the money work. Look, both the Cavs and the Trailblazers are currently in very bad cap situations. So the only way that either of them can move players if they want to actually improve is to swap bad contracts. And if you're the Cavs, taking on Evan Turner's deal for the next 2 years isn't a huge deal, but getting rid of the 3 years left of Kevin Love's deal is so much more important than taking on 2 years of Evan Turner. You have to get rid of that deal if you're trying to rebuild if you're the Cavs.
All right, one more trade here. This, of course, I think everyone knew was going to be on the list here. Kawhi Leonard, because the report LA still trying to add a first-rounder for a Kawhi trade. They continue to look into ways to getting him, even though their offers are not going to be very high. And you got to think at some point, maybe not this week, maybe not next week, at some point, Leonard will be dealt by the Spurs because that relationship doesn't seem fixable, unfortunately, for San Antonio.
It's not fixable at all. And I want to make one thing clear about the trade that's about to come up here. This is what I believe that the Spurs are asking for and what I actually think would be a decent deal if you're the Lakers to actually give up. 2 first-round picks, you're still able to dump Luol Deng's contract, and the Spurs still end up with Brandon Ingram. Both teams get what they want. It might be a little bit expensive for what the Lakers actually want to give up because, again, they have all the leverage. But this is what I believe after everything we've seen with LeBron going to the Lakers and the lack of leverage that the Spurs currently have. I think this is what the Spurs are asking for. Their asking price from the Sixers was 3 first-round picks and 2 starters. I cut that down to 1 starter and 2 first-round picks. And remember, those first-round picks, if you're the Lakers, they're late first-rounders because you have LeBron James and you'll have Kawhi Leonard. So I think it gives the Spurs what they want with Brandon Ingram and a couple future firsts, and it gives the Lakers what they want in Kawhi Leonard. It solves so many issues for both sides, and it lets everyone go away happy. That Luol Deng contract, it is annoying for the Spurs to take in, but they probably take in the deal, cut him, and then use the stretch provision on his contract over 4 or 5 years so it doesn't kill their cap.
All right, folks, let us know in the comment section where you think Kawhi will play this year. Is it with the Spurs? Is it with the Lakers? Is it potentially with the Sixers? Or is it nobody? Does he fake the injury for an entire season?
Hey, his quad is still injured. All right? He still has to play in an NBA game, so we don't know how he's doing. I think Kawhi by the start of the year will end up with the Lakers. I think we're going to see an August trade with him going to L.A., similar to what we saw with Kyrie Irving. Remember, Kyrie Irving's trade rumors didn't really start until about the middle to end of July, and then he got traded in August. So this stuff takes some time. I think Kawhi will end up moving to the Lakers in the beginning to middle of August.
All right, LeVar Ball has chimed in on LeBron and Lonzo. We'll get to that here in just a second, but first, a very short message.
Thanks for watching, you guys, but I still can't believe some of you have not subscribed to the Chat Sports YouTube channel. What are you waiting for? It's so easy. The guys are going to give you 10 seconds to do so. So right below your screen, click that subscribe button, and the guys will be right back with all the latest NBA news and rumors you do not want to miss. And I'll see you later in the show.